Well, it's been a rough 6 months waiting for that Subverse update, huh? Finally made it to the month of October, and this is the month that we're supposed to get that next game update, and we still don't have a clue when it's gonna drop. Okay, let's get real here. As of the recording of this video, it's October 8th, and the last dev diary we had on the game was August 20th. I'm more or less putting that for the record because I almost guarantee you, almost immediately after this video's dropped, we're gonna see the next update, whether it's today, tomorrow, next few days. I digress. This is a video I've originally planned on making back in August, as I wanted to really talk about the current format of the dev diaries. But now that I'm back and we happen to have not gotten a September update, community members have gotten a little heated, and I figured now would be a good time as any to talk about the topic. The developer updates are a way of looking into the process behind the game, gives an understanding of where the studio is currently at, and touch base with the community on topics and conversations frequently brought up. These updates usually include in-game screenshots, new game features planned, answers the commonly asked questions from the community, or anything else behind the scenes related. After the project was first funded, we would receive 2 dev diaries per month to keep people up to date on the projects, considering it was a project funded by the public but was not yet in the hands of the public. A few months before the game's release, the structure was changed to having the updates once a month. Each of these updates would seemingly have the same amount of content packed within them as well. Moreover, after the game initially released, the dev diaries seemingly got later than the last. May 3rd, June 10th, July 17th, August 20th, and finally culminating in no September release. Okay, so these dev diaries, when they do release, they're good. They're really good. I've got no problem with that. The problem is the inconsistency with them also lined up with the current design of the game. It gives people a false sense of order, making the consumer feel like there's no structure behind the producer, or the studio in this case. I've said multiple times in the past before, I've got no problem waiting. I played Destiny when it first came out, and it was painful waiting months back then for those updates. You know, adjusting weapons to not be overpowered in your PvP modes. And with Subverse, we are talking about a smaller team here. However, I also understand the people growing impatient waiting. Subverse in its current state is a brief demo of a story game with very little replay value at the moment. There's not much to go back with the current game in the public. It's not a sandbox game built from the ground up to be played in very different ways, i.e. Valheim or Minecraft when those games first came out. They didn't have much content, but were games designed to be played differently each playthrough. Subverse, on the other hand, as a story-based game with very straightforward game modes to play, is not. You literally have to wait for more content to come out for more to do. Some people may be nervous because they put their money in and the return on the investment may be slower than expected. Others may be nervous because the amount of Kickstarter projects that either haven't delivered on their word or just flat out never get finished. The remedy for this are developer posts made to give some insight on the project or touch base with players to show that the project is still underway, even if you can't actively see it being worked on. So, while some players are able to be cool-headed and wait for updates when they are ready, I can at least understand the frustration of some players burnt out from the very short experience of the current game, or by the inconsistency of the developer diaries. People grow anxious from silence, and makes them feel ignored even when they are in fact being heard. Now, if you're one of the people harassing the developers or community members, grow up. Honestly. That being said though, it's understandable for Studio Foe as a smaller team to not always be able to give big diaries to post or constant in-game updates. What they should work on, however, is the communication they have with the community. Let's be real here. The current updates they're great. They're fantastic. It's like a bombshell of information every single time. Does it need to be that way every time? No. As great as that is, I don't think we should focus on making every dev diary huge or don't release it at all. I think it's just as important to have something like, let's say, every other week on a specific day they pick of that week each time, just so they can say, hey, everything is going smoothly so far. Let's answer one of the community's most asked questions, and maybe even a screenshot. Hey, one of the devs was free this time around. Let's have him answer a question or two if they want. Communication back and forth. That's important for a project like this, especially of this scale. You guys saw how much this project got funded. You guys saw how many people were behind this project. Speaking of that, let's talk about that Twitter account. Look, Don't get me wrong. I really appreciate it when they take the time to share my videos. That's awesome. Helps me out substantially as a content creator. However, I think it needs to be utilized more so on updates coming from the team. Yes, I've seen the update talking about polishing the upcoming release and waiting for the green light from GOG. That was posted October 4th. Kind of a band-aid solution over everyone already getting anxious from the lack of updates in September. Although that seems like a minor detail, it's delayed stuff like that, giving people the unsteady feeling of, hey, how much structure is really behind this team? They say they have structure every single month, but it seems very inconsistent. Again, mind you, this was already after people waited 6 months for the game update after a underwhelming launch. I hate to say it, but I've read the comments. I've heard the people talking, and I've seen the video reviews from the bigger YouTubers on the game. Yes, there is great potential for Subverse, undoubtedly. But yeah, looking from an outsider's perspective on the game, I see why so many people are cautious around the project. I think it's important they start by enhancing the amount of communication. I wouldn't mind more dev diaries if it meant less bombshell features being talked about as opposed to having to wait for a green light on a date releasing in delayed updates. Maybe you don't have the big release date everyone wants, but let's not stay silent either. Let's also fill in that Twitter account in Discord. Hey, we don't have an update this time, guys, because we are super busy. So that way it can get announced beforehand. This way we can avoid the restless from needlessly raising their pitchforks. Those are my thoughts on the subject. Go ahead and tell me what you're thinking below. I know this is kind of a divisive topic. Hit like on the video, helps me out substantially as a content creator. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.